Welcome everybody, the Montana Business Vlog here. I'm Joel Silverman, your host from Silverman Law Office. You can catch us at mttaxlaw.com. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on all sorts of social media. You can catch us on our, oh my gosh, we've got our video blog channel. We've got, you name it, we're all over the place. Podcasts, catch us on podcasts. Google, Apple, you name it. I can't remember all of them because there's too dang many and I can't keep up with it all. But like us, share us, please. We're bringing some unbelievable content. Today we are very fortunate to be bringing Christina Riffle here, who's the CEO of Belgrade Liquor, and she's also running a, believe it or not, a motorcycle racetrack in Texas, a long ways away from Montana, but we're here in Belgrade, Montana. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're connecting small business owners across Montana and the U.S., so let's get right into it. Christina, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I've known you for quite a while, and we've got a little background noise, folks, because I was only able to squeeze Christina in during the workday. So we're actually here in the liquor store. There are customers coming in and out. You know, who knows? Maybe you'll get to meet some of them.
Yeah.
They have unbelievable customers here. Christina, your story is so interesting to me because for women, what I run into is that they say, I can't do that. I can't get to there. I have kids to take care of. Yet you're running a $10 million business. I mean, I'm blown away by that. And you've got two wonderful daughters. Your husband, Scott. Shout out to Scott.
Yeah.
And how do you do all this? This is crazy to me.
Well, honestly, my husband has a lot to do with it because he supports me. You know, I mean, that's the thing is that he's my biggest cheerleader at the end of the day. And my kids, I mean, when things happen at the store or I'm short-staffed or whatever, all I need to do is call my daughter and she's going to come in, she's going to stock, she's going to do what it takes. And so everybody has buy-in to supporting me. And it's taken many years for me to get there, but it really has changed and kept me strong, knowing that I can do it because I have such support. Sometimes I shake my head and I think to myself that I can't do it, and my husband, he said to me the other day, he said, the only person in this world that thinks you can't do it is yourself, so stop it. And so I do, and I believe that because at the end of the day, I know that people, you know, I take my job seriously. I want to make sure that I do my best job, and I know I can do a great job if I just keep this strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So why don't you give us, in a synopsis form, if you will, kind of your journey in life, right? Where'd you come from, your education, what you were doing, how you ended up here, how you ended up being the CEO running this company, and what were some of the hurdles and difficulties?
So basically, I started having kids while I was still in college, and my last semester of my senior year, I had a 3-month-old when I graduated college. So I had a baby, took a week off of school, and then went back to school and finished up. That was a hurdle, but I honestly I didn't graduate high school. I got my GED, and my thing as a mom is I didn't ever want my kids to think that I quit. So that drove me to make sure before they really knew anything that mom actually drove to make sure that she set the best example possible for what success looks like, that you can fail in one or two different things, but at the end of the day, I'm 100% responsible for setting a good example for my kids and my family. And so I started there and basically got tied in with the family that I work for now. And when I did, my husband actually found me this job, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but my husband said, you know, you've got this degree, you need to do something with it, and go ahead and let's find something for you. So he found something for me. And so I started working here, and I just was stocking shelves, and with a degree in finance, I was able to add value to this business. And so I was a stay-at-home mom. When my husband came home from work, I went to work for a couple hours, and then I came home. And so eventually, once I started adding value and different things to this business, that they relied on me more. They asked me to help with an association, and I became the executive secretary of the Liquor Store Owners Association because he needed the help, and he saw me as a valuable asset for that association. So I started to grow my networking ability that way. And so after that, I basically left the industry and still went ahead and did the association, and I had my own accounting business and did books for people and stuff. And after a while, there was a need for me to come back here, and I basically dropped pretty much everything I was doing because I knew that they needed the help. And then I came here, and I just came as a bookkeeper just to make sure that the operations were running. And as time went on, there was a need for me to step up and step into more positions and to start running this business. And for 7 years now, I've been doing nothing but trying to make this the best liquor store in the whole state of Montana. So.
Well, and you're the largest or second largest liquor store?
Second largest liquor store in Montana. And 3 years ago, we decided to branch out and do a motocross facility in Texas. Bought 150 acres down there in Texas. We have a full-time trainer down there, 4 or 5 replica tracks of different tracks around the state, and so we're running that as well. And so I'm handling all the background information where my partner is living down there, making sure that it's being run efficiently, but I'm making sure I'm holding him very accountable. So.
What have been some of the personal hurdles you've faced in running these businesses, right? I mean, because as a mom, that's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, so my hurdle is when I came back to this store, there was a lot of need for some foundational changes, and I really wasn't ready for everything that came my way. At that time, I had an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they weren't used to me not being home, and I was available almost all the time. So one big hurdle is that I had to change my schedule a couple years ago to spend more time here. And so it was a transition of my family, making sure that I had their support. And I didn't realize at the time that was the most important thing in my life is that I can't do my best job here if I don't have the support of my family back home. And so they've seen a lot of changes in me, and they're more my cheerleaders today than they ever have been. But the hurdles that I really see is just trying to make sure that I am more working on my business than in my business. I find that I'm really efficient and I know how to do a lot of things, and sometimes I want to step in when I shouldn't, because I know that I need to make sure that people can do their job with me not here, because I can't do 12 people's job all at once and still be sane in my head and deal with people in Texas. So my thing is that allowing other people to do work, even if it's not exactly the way I would do it, and if they get it done, being supportive and acceptable and holding people accountable. I've been kind of a standoff person in my life. I had never been a confrontation type person, or honestly anybody's boss for the most part. So when I started to move in this direction, I call it stretching. So it's a huge stretch to change who I am, because it's not comfortable. But the more I live my life, the more I find that I have to be outside of my comfort zone to be more successful in who I really am designed to be in the future. So at the end of the day, when I think about what I do for this store is I feed families and I take care of people. And that's my goal. And I work for them. They don't work for me. And I take everybody's life here very seriously, and the people in Texas as well. and holding people accountable, making sure that they're doing my job or their job is something that is important that I need to do. So
now, self-doubt, you and I have talked a lot personally about self-doubt, right?
yeah.
That's always such a challenge for people in business. How do you get over self-doubt so that you can make those difficult decisions and get up every day and charge at it as hard as you do?
So, sometimes I find that I need to have a day of feeling sorry for myself or whatever because things don't always go great. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm not able to execute anything if I'm in that space in my head. And I've signed on to this. I have put my signature on being the leader, and so self-doubt, it can't be an option. People can't see that in me because I can't do my best job for my employees if I look like I am not doing, in my head, I'm not in the right place. So it just can't be an option. Behind closed doors, sure, I have those days that I just, not days, hours maybe, or minutes, but then I know I have to shake it off and do my job because I'm the only one that's going to.
Yeah.
So
what do you do to shake it off?
Lately I've been taking walks, and that's really helpful. Listening to some music or some podcasts that are uplifting, and making sure that I tell myself positive things, because at the end of the day, I talk to myself more than anybody in the world talks to me. So if I'm not telling myself positive things in my head, I'm never going to be successful. So I just got to keep on dealing with the cheerleader in the back of my head.
It was interesting. I was listening to a book on the way over here, and Brendan Burchard, Butte kid, go Butte, and he was really interesting because he was talking about a businesswoman, and in the story he asked her a question, which was, write down all of your successes over the last 12 months. And it was really eye-opening to me that here this successful businesswoman couldn't do it because she was so concentrated on her failures, not her successes.
Yeah.
She wasn't celebrating herself.
And that's important. That's really important.
Yeah. It was because you and I were at a business seminar not too long ago, and it was interesting when they showed the video of how people perceive themselves. If you haven't seen this one, you want to go see the Dove commercial. And it's about how men and women perceive each other. And in that commercial, they use an expert drawer to draw out how we perceived ourselves. And it was really interesting to me how that commercial kind of came out, because I see that in business all the time.
Yeah.
That we create such a self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it, right, is we don't celebrate our successes enough.
I agree. And that's the thing is that it's just, well, I said to somebody just the other day, I feel like I'm a firefighter, that I'm constantly putting out little fires every day, and it's not like I'm waiting for something to happen, but it's just, you're always turning and moving, and you're dealing with humans, and so there's always something that could go wrong. And I do too, focus on negative more than positive, and that's something I do need to work on myself. And also allowing myself to have a moment of enjoyment. And I've built on taking care of other people and what can I do for you. And at the end of the day, when I think about it, my husband gave me some money for Christmas, and he said, you need to spend it on yourself. You need to figure out what you need to do with it, but I don't want you spending it on the kids. I don't want you spending it on anybody else. It needs to be spent on yourself. I still have that money in the safe because I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Because it's just, I never think about myself. And that's one thing that I think us as women do fail at, is that we're always constantly caretaking and loving on other people, that we really forget that if we don't take care of us first, that nobody else is taken care of in the right way. So that is a constant challenge that I find regularly in my head.
Now, you've got a fun little social media project that you're going to be launching here. You just told me off camera a minute ago, so why don't you tell our audience, because I think this is really creative from a business.
So my plan is that we're going to, so the business owner, his mom works here, and her mom owned the store before he bought it. It's been in the family since 1969. So 50 years this business has been in business. And so Linda is her name, 72-year-old. She's going to be going with us, and then one of my other staff, a couple other my staff, are going to go out, and we're going to hit the road and video and just kind of show how much fun we can have doing it sober, going out and meeting people, and just generating a, hey, how are you doing? I'm Christina with Belgrade Liquor. This is my sidekick Linda and Stacy and whoever we bring along, but we're going to videotape us and, show that. I was talking to the lady who does my marketing, and she was saying a lot of moms feel guilty for unwinding or taking a drink or something like that, because it's like they feel so responsible, they can't let loose or anything. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you need to do it responsibly. You need to make sure that you have the right systems in place, that your kids are taken care of, your husband's fed and watered, and that you can move out of. So anyway, I've got a designated driver. She's going to be picking us ladies up, and we're going to be hitting the streets and just shaking hands and kissing babies. That's what I call it. So, but I'm going to start getting in front of the video and start owning this store and this story more and more. And so that's another stretch, but I'm really excited because I think a lot of women need to know that it's okay to be a leader. It's okay to show that you're strong, and it's okay to let loose within certain guidelines. So we'll see.
That's
I'm
fantastic.
a little nervous, but I'm gonna do it. So,
well, it's you had a great saying I wrote down before we started, which was, being uncomfortable is your new comfortable.
Yes, it
right?
has to be.
That's part of it right there. This new project, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
When did you decide that you were going to step out of your comfort zone? Because I will tell people this about you is, you're kind of an introvert.
Yes, I am.
Right? You've told me that.
Yeah.
That's really hard for you to step out of that comfort zone.
It is very hard for me to step out of that comfort zone. I just wanted to, like I said, raise my kids and hang clothes on the line, But that wasn't what I was designed to be. And the more I look at myself in the mirror, the more I realize that. I'd say about a year ago is honestly, actually, the 24th of March is probably the day in 2018 that I actually had to move out of my comfort zone and say, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to take control, because nobody's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
And so from then on, it's just been a roller coaster, honestly, of happy, sad, trying to kill it, and realizing that I'm failing, but I'm succeeding, and needing to pat myself on the back once in a while. But it's been a really challenging ride, and it all comes down to making sure that the stuff I say in my head is the right stuff I need to hear from myself. Mm-hmm. And taking seriously that I feed the people that work for me, and that I don't want to fail anybody or anybody's family. So at the end of the day, it's not just me, it's everybody else. So that's what keeps me out of the introvert and pushing myself forward, is because I take it seriously, and whatever it takes to be successful is what I'm going to do.
Have you, you mentioned podcasts, have you heard of Rachel Hollis?
No, I have not.
Oh, my wife is a huge fan of Rachel Hollis. You want to definitely look her stuff up.
Okay.
I've listened to a couple of her interviews and just watched. She released a movie recently.
Oh.
So it actually really interesting. She's a coach, a life coach.
Oh.
Has some really great content out there. So let's see. Let's get back in on this. So last year, you're in this position where you say, I have to step up. I have to make some changes.
Yep.
What woke you up to that?
My staff. I have a few key people here at the store, and they were telling me I was the boss, because my partner is in Texas and we're trying to build this facility. And so basically I'm the keeper of the keys here, but we had a management changeover, and then we had this group of management in, and I had some staff that was telling me some things that I knew that if I didn't make some decisions that were painful for me personally, that I wouldn't, and actually I think you were a little involved in that moment in time, but if I didn't step up and do the right thing for my staff, the right people would get off the bus, and I never wanted that to happen, because at the end of the day, I am only as successful as my weakest link here at the store, and so having the right people on my bus is super important to me.
You raised a great point right there. I want to make sure our listeners, the people watching this, really understand how important this is as a decision maker in the company. But you basically said, I had to make the tough decisions to get rid of some people so that my best people would stay.
Exactly.
That is profound, right? Because as a people pleaser person, right?
Yep. I am totally.
It is so hard to let somebody go.
Yeah.
No matter what role they fill.
I agree.
But yet you understood that if you didn't, you were going to lose your best people.
All day long.
Right? That's, to me, that's an unbelievable takeaway right there. Because we struggle with that decision of letting somebody go, but when you think about it as to what it's going to cost everybody else on your team, it really opens your mind, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And it takes it away from it being personal to you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because you still have a duty and obligation to protect everybody else on your team.
Exactly. I am the gatekeeper, you know, and at the end of the day, if I'm not giving them my best every moment of every day, then I'm not doing my best job for them.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to me feeling like I work for them, they don't work for me. And if I'm not giving them the support that they need, then why should they stay? You know, my husband's going through a little bit of a transition on his world, and, you know, having the right leaders in place is super important, because the wrong people, or the wrong people will actually leave your team, and that's not okay, because if you have a solid team, you can weather any storm. But if you have a team that really, at the end of the day, won't even show up for work or leaves early because, you know, they're on salary or whatever, they don't want to make less than somebody else, that's not kind of the values that I have. I'd run circles around everybody here and do whatever it takes, and it's not about the paycheck I get. It's about the quality of my character. And that's what I'm looking for when it comes to anybody that works here. It's the quality of character.
So let's stick with that for a moment here, because I love that. When you've clearly identified what the characteristics are, right?
Yeah.
How do you interview for that?
You know, honestly, it's funny because I do ask questions, but it's how I feel inside when I talk to them. And it's the way, and it's the more and more that I'm running this business, the more clear that I see whether I made a right decision or a wrong decision. So it's not that I always make the right decision, but I remedy it quick. So if I notice that, hey, I hired somebody on and they're not, as much in my heart I thought that they were going to hit it, I missed it. And I make sure that I make different decisions quickly. I don't waste anybody's time. So it's, you know, getting it in my heart that, you know, the right questions, yes. If I feel like they really can fold into the team right, yes. And then when they come in, making sure that I am paying attention to them one-on-one and working with them and seeing how they're interacting with the rest of the staff, that's important too. So I'd say the interview doesn't stop with the interview process. It actually starts when they actually walk in the door as a hiree.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely, right? Because even after you hire somebody, every day they're at work is like a new interview.
Yes, it is. And how they interact with other people, how they treat the customers. Because at the end of the day, customer service is where it's all about. And if I can't take care of my customers, somebody else will. And that's not okay. I take it extremely seriously, you know?
I can tell how serious you take it because you stared right at the camera when you did that.
Right. I do.
It's like you were looking right down the audience.
I know.
You're like,
I don't,
this is our most important value.
They are our number one. And if I am not doing, yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
And, people driving from other parts of the city or, not in Belgrade and coming down here, I appreciate that so much because they can go anywhere. But I try and add value in everything I do. So why would you come here than any other store? It's because of the value that I add when you walk through the door. And if I don't see it from my staff, then I don't have the right people serving my customers.
And how do you educate your team to your expectations?
We are actually working on training manuals, and we're it's by example of what this is, how this is expected, what you need. There's a lot of, I have some customers that come in and tell me how certain interactions go, and then afterwards I talk to associates and make sure that they understand this is, you're doing great, this you're not doing so great. So we do have a training in place, but also the spot checks and making sure that they are doing things when people aren't watching. Mm-hmm. So making sure that I have people on the background that are always watching for me. That's the whole thing, like you were talking about looking at video cameras and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I watch my video cameras, and I also watch customer reactions and talk to friends and family that actually shop here. Mm-hmm. Make sure that my employees are doing their best job too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How do you get more feedback from your customers so you know you're providing the best experience possible? Do you go out and seek them, in other words, or do you just let them come to you?
Well, I'm working on that a little bit more. One is that the interactions on Facebook and seeing what the comments are, or, questions, concerns, that seeing them in the store, and then actually the people that I need to do more of is going out and checking with people. But yeah, we do call and ask. I've had different companies call and ask and see. But yeah, we go out and we ask customers, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I working together, I know you're always asking me, hey, have you been in the store recently? How are things, right? Mm-hmm. It amazes me how rare that is, because you should be doing that all the time, right? I literally had to sit down with some clients the other day. Uh-huh. And the look on their faces when I asked them, how's my team treating you? How are they doing? And they looked at me, and at first they were a little uncomfortable, and I said, no, I want your feedback. That's why I'm asking. I want you to be honest with me.
Right.
Are we missing the mark?
Exactly.
And it was unbelievable, the feedback I got. They gave me amazing material to go back to my team with.
Yeah.
Where we were hitting it right for them and where we were missing it.
And that's so helpful for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it goes down to even the invoices and stuff like that. And,
yes.
It's like, okay, I want you to have a certain name here. I want you to do this, and that's my thing is that if I want you to treat me that way, then I treat you that way. It's reciprocal when it comes to business. And I don't ever, I know that people have experiences that won't make me happy, but at the end of the day, I'm supposed to learn from that. If you fail and you don't learn, then you're not ever going to get better. I don't believe that, you have to do things and test them and test them and test them and make sure that you're doing your best. It's like the end caps, or what kind of wine we have in there, or different products that we have. Feedback from our customers, making sure that we're providing them with their best products. If I'm not talking to them, then I'm only serving myself. And at the end of the day, I'm only one customer, and I can't run this business with one customer. So. Yeah,
absolutely. No, that's great. You have to be unwavering in that, right? I mean, you have to always be looking and changing and trying to figure out what works best, what's going to bring customers back, what's the feeling they're looking for.
It is about the feeling, because when I look at more and more and peel back more marketing and understanding what how you get to people, and it's you get to them through their heart. You don't get to them through their mind or anything like that. It's the heart. And so I was just thinking about Texas, and when I go down to Texas, I go down there about every 6 weeks to make sure everything's running, and we actually have a neighborhood of people that are live-in people that are being trained by our trainer, and there a lot of them are moms. And I talk to the moms. There's like one head mom that I always check in with. But how are we doing? What do you think of the trainer? What do you think of how we're handling this or handling that? Is there anything that you think that we can improve on? Because I know that they're going to give me information that really will help me in the long run build a business that supports the people that are obviously our market. So that's the thing. Always asking questions and not being afraid to hear the truth.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because too many times we're all afraid to hear the truth.
Yes, we are. And you know what? The truth will set you free, right?
Yep.
And you can always make yourself better if you listen to what people are telling you. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, in the liquor business, what's new? What's happening that's different out there these days, right? Because we see things changing so quickly with technology, social media, but what's happening? It's liquor, it's beer, wine, spirits, right? What's new?
What's new in liquor? I would say the different bars that we're getting around town is good. So specifically in this spot, I think that we're seeing a lot of more trendy, like big city looking bars kind of deal. And I think that's adding more value to the liquor industry. I think that that's something people want to see, new things and interesting things, and I think they're getting away from just the well, at least the 21 to 35 year olds seem to be getting away from just your bar that's in the middle of downtown, that, you know, at dive bar or whatever. I think people want a little bit more than just a rum and coke all the time. I think they're looking for some creativity, and so people are really eating that alive here in Bozeman. Also, what's another thing that's new is trying to innovate. Bourbon is huge, and that's been around. I think Scotch first, more so, and then now we've moved into this bourbon movement. And so, understanding people's palates, where they are, how they are trying different and new things, and so my thing is to make sure that I am serving them and allowing them to try different things. So we're working on getting into more of a bourbon type club, maybe working something like that out, so we can serve our customers and help them understand what they're tasting, why it is what it is, and maybe something more like something they can't get, but maybe there's something better out there. So different products. We're constantly on the beat trying to find new products for our customers, because the ones that they're looking for, they don't always have an option to buy. So, but there's still good stuff out there.
Yeah.
So new stuff is just trying to get ahead of what the trends are. So looking at different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and what we're really seeing as how we can adapt it here. We've got we're the biggest airport in the state of Montana, so we have a lot of, and we're right next to West Yellowstone or Yellowstone National Park, big sky, so we have a lot of people coming in from big cities. And so making sure that we are on top of what is new is important. So we're working on trying to get that a little bit more honed in.
Well, it was interesting because recently you and I were talking about the liquor industry, and one of the changes that you saw that has happened fairly quickly, right? And let me, I guess, I'm going to change it the way I was going to approach it, but a while ago, all of a sudden, there was this huge variety of vodkas, flavored vodkas, right? Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing people's flavor palettes go away from that.
Yes.
Right? And now a vodka like Tito's is huge.
I know.
Right? Or, I mean, because you've got like Bozeman Distillery, their Huckleberry vodka is still huge because that's a regional flavor, right? But we're seeing people step away from all these different crazy flavors in vodka, right?
I was talking to you about that, and we were looking at, and this is the thing, having good employees and them keeping an eye on this. We're constantly looking at trends and how things are going, and what they're really changing into is more of an infusion vodka than actual flavors. So Kettle One has the botanicals, so it's more of a kind of a gin idea than it is of vodka with, with flavorings on it, so it's more of a tea bag situation. So, but it is interesting I think that people are looking for something that is not as sugary, and that they're interested in some good, solid flavors, but they don't want it to taste phony. So I think that is definitely something that people are interested in, and they're more educated. I think that our new 21 and olders are actually looking into more creativity, that they're not just hitting there are people hitting just the Tito's, but I think they're looking outside of that more so and trying to find something maybe even a little bit more trendy. But yeah, I think the flavor thing is definitely, we're seeing it here, is people aren't wanting to drink that. And Tito's is awesome because of his model. He's great at advertising. He's got the dog thing going on for him, and he's just nailed it when it comes to marketing.
Yeah, he's built a great story brand, hasn't he?
It's all about the story.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit it earlier too. It's about the story because you're connecting with people at a different level. You're not just connecting with them mentally. You're connecting with them who they are as a person.
Exactly. And that's where the whole idea, and it just actually has come up to light about a week ago, about, hey, I am a woman that is running the show, and that I need to put myself out there and be strong enough to show other women that, hey, I am doing it, maybe not gracefully every day, but I do what I can, and that it's okay to show failures and successes in front of the camera and in front of others. And that is a huge challenge in my head, but I'm gonna nail it.
So you had said you listened to some podcasts. Are there any podcasts you really like that you'd like to share with our audience to,
Well, I've been really listening to Gary Vee lately, and he has really, he does marketing in New York City, and he is very uplifting, the stuff that he talks about, but he nails it in social media. He has his own wine library, and he has his own brand of wines and stuff like that, but that's why I kind of attached to him just lately, because really interested in knowing a little bit more about wine, and really interested in, he's my age and he's been working his eyeballs out of his head for a very long time, and he's he's very successful because he's put the effort in. And it's like, you start your day at 5 o'clock in the morning and you work till 2 a.m. sometimes, and at the end of the day you may not see the result today, but ask me a year from now. That I actually tied in with another gentleman, and that's what I was asking him was, how do you know the decisions that you're making are successful? And he said, that's funny, my wife says stuff like that to me too, and that's where his answer came, was, ask me this in a year from now and I'll tell you if it was successful or not. So yeah, but Gary Vee is somebody that, and then Tony Robbins, I listen to a lot of him, and then some religious stuff. So, try and keep the positive reinforcement in my head. So Andrew Womack and Joyce Meyer, those two ministries, I listen to them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Vee's he is such an interesting guy. I love some of his interviews that he does. One of the funniest ones I've ever seen was when he interviewed Tony Robbins. Oh,
I didn't know he interviewed him.
He did. Because I've never seen two guys who were so over the top type A fight over a microphone. It was hysterical. I couldn't stop laughing through the whole interview because they were just going over the top of each other.
Oh my gosh. I could only imagine, and they are wired. They, and his thing is, and I believe Tony would say the same thing, as you're always on.
Yeah.
At any point of any time, you're always on. And another thing with the industry and stuff like that, what I'm finding with just listening to Gary Vee and stuff, is your phone does everything, and one day it's just going to be your phone. So you need to move things towards that market. And,
Yes.
like you were saying, the vlogs and the videos and stuff like that. But one day you're going to have Alexa, and one day you're going to have Google Home or whatever. And so it's always trying to find, even though liquor, people are going to come and pick it up, but how do I reach more people, or how do I tell them I'm here? It's funny because a lot of people come in here and say, I don't know, I didn't even know you were here. And it's like, we've been in business for 50 years. How did you not know we were here?
Yeah.
But they still come in not knowing.
That's awesome.
But we're reaching them more and more every day. And so that's my goal, is how do I make sure that people know we are here and we are awesome?
Yeah. What do you see is like your next business hurdle? Do you feel like your next business hurdle's here or down in Texas? Which still blows my mind that you are somehow juggling both of those. But what do you feel like your next hurdle is if you were trying to look out into the future?
My next hurdle, definitely trying to balance everything and trying to grow in a way that doesn't make everything fall in. So growing at a sustainable pace that is definitely hugely important, and trying to find how to reach my target market. And the next hurdle is actually getting myself in front of a camera and getting comfortable doing that, because I think people really need to hear what I have to say.
That's awesome.
Right? Just like you, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is so much of taking, again, out of the comfort zone, stretching yourself beyond what you are used to and what you believe you can do. Because we truly do. That's when we grow the most.
Exactly.
Is when we push ourselves the most. You hit on this sustainable growth. And to me, that is something that is personal to each one of us, right? I get really frustrated when I hear people talk about things like, what's the big phrase of the day now? Work-life balance.
It's no such thing.
Okay, so I want to hear your opinion on this as this crazy CEO businesswoman here. What does that mean to you? Like, you say no such thing.
No such thing as balance, and I did say balance, but actually it's more of a peace, being at peace with the way you are. Because some days your family's going to take up this much space. Some days your business is going to take this up much space. But the thing is that you got to touch on everything, and really the priorities that bubble up what's most important. And that's one thing that I do tell my staff. Your health and your family are the two most important things in this world, and the business comes third. And I always want that in my mind, honestly, and I hate to say this, my business comes first. And so I don't play that, but when it comes to my staff, I always want them to take care of themselves, and I always want them to take care of their family. Once those two things are in place, they can work on my business. So the balance of it all is just making sure that I'm always on, that I'm always doing what it takes to serve my people. And my husband, finally, after I'd say 3 years of this, has come to the understanding that this is what I love to do. And so he does bring me back to center when I'm not balanced, but there's no such thing as balancing life and work at the same time. It's whatever I really need to pay attention to today, I'm going to focus on, even though there's a few other things I need to put in there. Yeah.
So for our viewers who don't know Scott, the mountain man, he's got this huge beard and big guy, and it's like, holy cow. First time I met him, first time I met Scott, I was like,
very intimidating.
Christmas guy, you are tall, like in that huge beard he's got. How did that play out for you and Scott? I mean, because he has come to accept that this is you, because this is not what he married.
No.
Right?
No.
So how did that go? How did that play out?
It really was painful. When a year ago, when everything changed and my mindset actually went to where I am now, it was really hard on our relationship, and there were moments in time I didn't want to go home. And it wasn't really anything he was really doing. It was me having to grow and stretch and figure it out. And, you know, as much as we love each other, this was part of my life that he didn't have anything to do with, really, except for being my cheerleader, right? So I needed to get myself back to center in my head. And he basically, in his head, was, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I love her so much. We've been together for 24 years. I started dating him when I was 16. So, you know, we've always been together for the most part. And when the rocky road happened, and when I was like scratching my head saying, maybe this is not what we need to do, and maybe it's me going solo, or maybe he should have somebody that fits. He's a gardener that has farm animals, and we show lambs, you know, and it's just me. I'm all about business and how do we make money, not $3 a dozen eggs, but, you know, we've got to have a little bit more margin than that, right? So just coming to the realization that actually it was him, whatever it takes to make sure that I'm taken care of, he stepped up and said, I'm not going to quit on this. I'm going to make sure that everybody's happy, and this means I have to be more supportive, because now I'm the one that's the breadwinner. I'm the one that's in charge. I'm the one he's actually quitting his job, and he's going to be moving on to driving our daughter around and showing lambs professionally, and he's going to be gardening and doing all that stuff, and he loves to do that. And I love doing this, and it's going to be a huge stretch, but we both know at the end of the day we have each other to hold on to.
Well, and it sounds to me one of the keys to your relationship success is your communication.
Yeah,
right?
It's huge.
And probably when you had some of your most difficult times was when you weren't communicating effectively.
Yes, that is very true. And my husband is an over-communicator. And that's good, because I am not a communicator. And that's something that I really need to work on, too. But he is somebody that hits it all the time. He's not afraid to talk and have a conversation about what's wrong or what's going on, why this isn't happening a certain way. And he's not afraid to tell me that he's not comfortable or he is comfortable, and that's hugely important. And if he wasn't a communicator, I don't think that we would have been able to stay married. Yeah.
Ah, that's fantastic. What is something else that Scott does for you that helps you free up time, that, you know, that allows you to stay the centered person, right? What is it that because I find so many times that when we as business owners, operators, we get into our heads too much about things. And for me personally, my wife is an invaluable resource for me to get me out of my head.
You know, a couple things. When you first said that, I got him and the girls ski passes this year, because I work like 7 days a week, just I'm sure like you, and we work a lot of hours, and they were really not happy with me not being home. And so getting all of them ski passes actually took a lot out of my shoulders, because I knew he and the girls were able to engage, and that even though mom wasn't there, they were still having family time. And so that allowed me to have a peace of mind about working on the weekends when I really honestly should be doing laundry, you know. But also when I come home, I do have conversations with my husband, even more than my partner, about how things went at the store. And him being an employee at a business currently, he can meet me in a position of the employee side of things. So he looks at it at a different perspective, where I actually have the ability to see, hey, this is what an employee would see out of this, not what a boss would see out of this. Because now I'm thinking about business owner and what I'm doing to manage this and be the boss. And he's looking at it as, hey, I'm your employee, and that really sucks what you just did, because that decision hurt 5 other people because you didn't think about it in their eyes.
Yes.
And so another supporter I do have is my dad. And so my dad, my family used to own an asphalt company in Indiana, and buildings, and an aviation company. And so I've been an entrepreneur since, you know, that big. So when I have problems, well, I talk to my dad once a week, and when I have problems, I'm usually sobbing on the phone, calling my dad, saying, I don't know what I'm going to do, and he has really good advice, and I tell you, I don't know if I would have been able to do what I do without the support of those two men in my life, and you too, because I do call you as well. So that's huge.
You'll laugh at this one. You talk about your dad. Yesterday, I do so much work from my car, right? Because I'm driving between Helena and Bozeman, and I'm on the phone constantly. And yesterday I'm driving, and I'm like, hey, I haven't talked to my pops in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I give my dad a call, and I call him right before I get to Townsend. And I was supposed to gas my car up in Townsend.
Oh, no, you forgot.
Oh, yeah. So I'm driving down the road, and out of the corner of my eye on the little screen panel of my car, the low fuel light warning comes on.
Right?
I'm like, hey, Dad, you wouldn't happen to know a towing company anywhere in Montana, would you? And he's laughing. He says, why? So I tell him the story, and he's like, are you actually going to make it to a gas station? I'm like, I need like 15, 20 more minutes, and I'm good.
Seriously.
Like, it was just hysterical, because I got in my
moment.
moment.
You were invested in the head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and like you, my dad's an invaluable business resource for me, because he's very much a serial entrepreneur. At 75 now, I think.
Yeah, right?
My dad still gets up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., works till noon, and then he goes and golfs the rest of the day.
Nice.
But that's what he loves to do and lives for.
Yeah.
So,
and plus in Phoenix, it's so freaking hot. 4:30 in the morning, you can actually get stuff done.
yeah, well, he gets up and he's doing all his numbers and spreadsheets for his business every day. It's
Who doesn't
crazy.
love spreadsheets?
I know. I love numbers. Numbers love me.
Exactly.
Well, geez. Anything else you want to give to our viewers that might help them in their businesses or their struggles that you can think of?
I would say it's really important to believe in yourself, and you're your biggest cheerleader. At the end of the day, you have to live with the voices in your head, and so it's okay to fail, but just don't stay there. Brush yourself off and keep on walking forward, because you know what? There are a few people watching that you don't even notice, and you are their everything. And it's really important that you realize that doing your best job and brushing off the bad times is going to help in the long run, and you won't see it today, but you will see it in the future. And if you're a mom or a wife and you're thinking about doing one more thing and you don't think you can, you sure can if you want to. If it's in your heart to do something more, do it. And so you're going to fail maybe once or twice, or maybe you're going to succeed every time. But don't let failures hurt you, because they're just roadmaps to a better direction. That's my advice.
Awesome, Christina.
Yeah.
I love the way you said that too, because the phrase I think we hear more often than the way you put it is, you're your worst critic. Mm-hmm. But you said you're your best cheerleader.
You are.
Right? That changes the mindset from a negative to a positive.
Exactly.
Right? Too often we're so hard on ourselves and we forget to celebrate even the slightest successes that we have.
Right.
Right? And then we get down on ourselves, and then
Yes.
it just slides you downhill, because like you said, you've got to get up, dust yourself off when you don't hit your target, and you got to keep going.
Well, and like down in Texas, my partner, he's got kids that train and they race and stuff, and I go down there and I'm their cheerleader. Hey, you need to do this. But it's very imperative that when I go down there, I tell them, you know what? Everybody's watching you. Everybody's seeing you. When you're out on the race, how you hold yourself when you walk out that door, they are watching you, because your dad is running the show here. So everything that you do is basically under a microscope. And when I think about my life and with my girls, that they say that the same-sex parent always is more influential than the opposite-sex parent, and so I take that seriously too. What I do today maybe affect my kids 20 years from now. So I'm always thinking to myself, setting a good example, making sure that I am giving them what I can, and that, mom is working 15 hours today and she's going to be exhausted when she gets home, but I'm going to give you hugs, and I'm going to make sure that that things are going this direction. You're going to hear about what my day was, how business was, and that your dad is supporting you because he gets home at 2:30, that we have a parent there, and that we're making sure that we're setting that example. Even though mom's not home, she still loves you, and you see when you come into the store how hard she's working to make sure that you get to drive around with your lambs. And my daughter's right now in California, and not that we didn't give her a couple bucks to make sure that she's safe, and so
Yeah.
they enjoy that, and they know that what I do here equates to their ski passes and their enjoyment and stuff. So setting that example of always on the spotlight, making an example out of everything I do.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Christina,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Everybody, this was a fantastic hour here with Christina Riffle from Belgrade Liquor. We can't thank her enough. We can't thank Brad Oldhouse from Social Flicks, who's the man behind the camera. He's back there shaking his head, but he is an unbelievable support in this project. Please like us below, spread the word. We've now done 15 or so interviews of amazing business people around Montana. We've got more coming. Hopefully we will be able to keep expanding this project, keep getting people from other cities across Montana. I'm eventually going to convince my sister to do an interview, which would be awesome because she is an unbelievable powerhouse. So Amy, if you happen to see this, know that I'm coming for you at some point, sis. And may be able to get my dad, my brother, who's also an amazing guy, my little sister, who just inspires me every day. She is an amazing doctor down in San Diego. Boy, I can't tell you folks how lucky I am, inspired I am to get to do this. Catch us on the podcast, catch us all over the place in social media, heavens. But please spread the word, because you get such great content. It's free, for heaven's sakes. And this is learning from other business owners in Montana, right? Who've been there, done that, who run unbelievably successful businesses. You learn about customer service, how to sell your product, how to sell you. Just unbelievable content. So please spread the word. Again, Joel Silverman from Silverman Law Office. And thanks for joining us today, and we'll be seeing you on the next interview.